So now let's look at exercise 11. Okay, we're going to look at exercise 11. So here we're going to look at ratios and to reconstruct an income statement. Okay, this is going to give us practice with some ratios. So they told us that inventory turnover was 3.5 and gave us beginning and ending merchandise. Okay, so let's take a look at this. All right, so you'll have to remember when we're looking for this one, so we're looking at cost of goods sold, we're going to have to figure out, well, what is cost of goods sold, interest expense, income tax expense, and net income. So I'm going to come down here, and I know it says they give us inventory turnover. So my inventory turnover, they say equals 3.5. Well, what's my formula for inventory turnover? So my inventory turnover is equal to my cost of goods sold. Okay, so it's equal to cost of goods sold divided by average merchandise inventory. And they told us that inventory was 850, and then beginning and ending was 810. So I don't know what cost of goods sold is. That's what I'm trying to figure out. And I've got beginning of 850 plus 810 divided by 2 is my denominator. So this is going to be cost of goods sold divided by, we take 850 plus 810 divided by is 1660, divided by 2 is 830. So 3.5 is equal to X, cost of goods sold, divided by 830. So if I multiply 3.5 by each, 3.5 times 830, okay, because I want to get rid of it, doing some algebra here. My cost of goods sold is going to equal 3.5 times 830. Which is $2,905. Okay. So that's my cost of goods sold. So that's how I know. So A, that's how we calculate A. I should have done it there. Okay. So that's how we're getting A, which is this one right here. So we've got $2,905. Okay. We've got selling and admin. Let's find interest expense. So let's look. We know what other expenses. Income before income taxes. We know what this is. So we know what net sales are, cost of goods sold, selling and admin. We just need this one. We can kind of figure that out too. Let's see. They tell us what it was. So the profit margin ratio is 0.11. Okay. So let's look what our profit margin ratio is. So when we're looking at profit margin ratio, we're going to take our, let's see, come down here. So profit margin ratio is equal to net income divided by net sales. All right. And they told us that it's 0.11. So 0.11 is going to be equal to net income, which we don't know, and divided that by our net sales, which is 7,200. Okay, so I'm going to take 0.11 times 7,200, and that's going to equal my net income. So net income is going to be equal to $792. All right, so we know that's going to be net income. So net income was up here, so that was D. All right, so now let's get to B and C. So up here, I'm trying to find interest expense, which is letter B, and I know my income before taxes is $1,325. So this is B. So I'm going to take $1,325, and I'm going to subtract. Well, let's see. I'm going to take 7,200 minus the 2,905, my cost of goods sold, minus my 1,830. And I'm looking for interest expense too, so I'm going to leave that out and do my other expenses of 150. And I'm going to figure out what that equals, because I know after I take out interest expense, I want that to be equal to the 1,325. So I'm going to go ahead and take out the 1,325, which is the income before taxes, and get my answer. And that's going to be what my interest expense should be. Okay. So I'm going to take 7 plus 7,200 minus 2,905 minus 150 minus 1,325. I'm sorry, this formatting on this thing is terrible. $990. Okay, so 990 is B. All right. All right, so we've got B, we figured out A, we had D, I think that was on there. And now we need to find C. Okay, well, I know income tax expense. If I know what net income is and what my income before taxes are, all I have to do for C is take 1,325 minus 792. That gives me my income tax expense of $533. Okay, so I'm just going to take income before taxes minus net income. Okay, that's how I get 533. If you have any questions on that, you can just post your questions to the discussion board or shoot me an email.